Welcome back to the Meta Lighthouse Channel to our Dispelling the Myth series. And today we're going to be talking about 5D, Ascension.
Maybe Pleiadians, who knows?
And consciousness in general.
Yeah.
Consciousness in general too. So, and why do we want to talk about this stuff? I'm going to say it's because there's so much talk about ascension symptoms going on right now, and that the 5D is here, or it's on its way, and people are all excited about it. But it's really kind of false. I mean, 5D is in the future, but we're not there yet. We have a long way to go.
And 5D is a reality. There is a dimension.
Yes.
But we're 3D.
Yes.
Which means we have 2 floors beneath us.
2 floors beneath us?
2 dimensions.
2 dimensions.
Of lesser and lesser.
Yes.
And it means we have dimensions above us.
Yep.
And some of those dimensions, they can see us and come into our 3rd dimension. Sometimes the crafts will come in, then they'll go out. But that's because they're coming from above. They're coming from a higher dimension. And their consciousness and their evolution has the ability to come in and out.
Right.
We, on the 3rd dimension, which is materialism, we don't have that capability of even seeing the other dimension without tinkering with humanity a little bit.
Right. So in the 3rd dimension, you know, if you look out into the world, it's kind of a struggle for a lot of people. You know, and there's a lot of division. You know, we've been talking about that so much in these videos, and I don't want to get into that too much.
Right.
But in order to, quote unquote, ascend into the other dimensions, you need to fix the one or master the one that you are in.
They'll never let you in. Like, never mind going to another planet or another system. Just the various multiversal dimensions that are here is... we're not necessarily allowed to venture in there because a lot of it has to do with your consciousness, and a lot of it has to do with the evidence of growth in your own dimension. You know?
It's about evolution, and we're in the middle of an evolutionary shift, but it will be from 3D to 4D. I don't know why people think that we're jumping over the 4th dimension into the 5th dimension.
Right. And the 4th dimension is very accessible to us, and usually a lot of what people think is an alien from wherever might just be in the other dimension, but they've evolved enough to be able to assist us with our evolution.
Right. So how do you reach the 4th dimension? And what is the 4th dimension all about? It's actually about love all, serve all. You know, and if you look out into the world, there is not a lot of love all, serve all going on. So we're not even close to the 4th dimension yet.
Right.
But that is a goal. And that's a type 1 civilization, right?
True.
Where people's needs are met. You know, the question has been answered, how can people thrive? How can all humans thrive? We need to figure that out first prior to entering or evolving into the 4th dimension.
So true. There was somebody that said that too a long time ago. I forget the Johnson & Johnson individual had something going with what do we do to make the human thrive?
Right.
But
so yes, there's a lot of things that we need for humans to thrive. Better healthcare, better transportation, better education, of course, truth in education. And so every system on the planet needs to be upgraded. Right.
And the human body.
And the human body.
You know, people look at the DNAs and we're missing strands and the aliens upgraded you. But the reality is there's been multiple attempts at races at the human condition. And evolution has taken place in at least 7 times. Right. The race has been altered and upgraded. But where we are today is that we're really not, you know, awakening is the first step to the next dimension, which is the Gnosis, which is coming out of sleep.
Right.
But that's just, one little fraction of it.
Right. Well, that's the first step. And there's 8 steps to illumination. Right. And so you want to reach illumination, everybody in order to evolve into the 4th dimension.
Into the 4th dimension, which is not going there. It's bringing things here. We're here. We're in this world, the earth, right? And we don't have to travel to space to reach something. We just have to continue to evolve with who we are as a species, and that unlocks the door to each dimension. Because once you prove yourself to yourself, by default, you're showing the next dimension or beings that you're actually, we want to integrate, we want to talk, you've shown that,
So they're looking for evidence that humans are ready to evolve into the next dimension.
1000%.
And so once they see the evidence, they will expose or show, open up doors to other realities.
1000%, right here. It's all about just evolving allows you to reach all the lights fantastic that people talk about today. But to go to the 5th dimension, why?
Right. So our goal is to reach the type 1 civilization, which again is, the attitude of love all, serve all. It's empathy, it's psychic development, it's a more expanded consciousness.
It is. And expanded consciousness means you actually have the answers to some of the mysteries that plague you. Like when you look out into the world, you see people that are saying the earth's round, and this group saying the earth's flat. And that just shows that the actual consciousness doesn't even fully know 100% where they are.
Right.
Because they wouldn't even have these conversations or debates.
Right.
So we're a long way off from knowing things.
So, when you talk about expanding consciousness, that can't happen yet. You actually need to fix consciousness because it's broken.
It is
in the
broken.
3rd dimension. Like you say, because when there's so many lies and there's so much division, that's a sign that consciousness is broken and needs to be fixed.
Right. And with that thought, you go back in time, because a lot of the things in some of these families, they know the positioning of the stars and when the awakening starts to happen. So prior to the awakening taking place, one house particularly, maybe 2, might have been responsible for putting out disinformation with certain individuals that are even tied to agencies, right? CIA, this and that. Soon as you see that, you should actually have a red flag. And, they put people in there to continue to divide consciousness, because the whole thing is, if consciousness comes together in one accord, then it balances the frequencies so much that you graduate out of poverty and healthcare systems that are so degraded.
And by default, you live longer, and you're living in peace with those higher frequencies. So that is an incredible goal to reach.
Right.
So we should be working towards that. And it really starts with empathy.
Right.
Right.
Kindness.
And also, if you look at the not life extension, but the lifespan of humans right now is around 80 years?
It's very sad and brief.
But once you reach the 4th dimension, it expands to 150 years.
Pretty easily.
Right?
Yeah.
And then once you get to the 5th dimension, we're talking 300, 400, 500, 600 years old.
Right, and the environment reflects it as well.
Right.
You're in peace, you have longevity.
Right.
And these things are accessible in this dimension by just doing certain trajectories, leads to technological support to upgrade the human condition.
That brings us to talking about the 5th dimension and why it's out of reach right now. It's actually, when you reach the 5th dimension, it means that the human body is being upgraded to contain the expanded consciousness.
Right.
Right? Because in order to fly a spacecraft and, levitate and do all these amazing things, that there is human potential for all of it.
Absolutely.
But this body can't do it because we can only live, 75, 80, 85 years.
The body
needs
degrades.
to be upgraded.
It needs it badly, and consciousness needs to be upgraded, but we're at the awakening stage. When I was reading cards as a kid long ago, it was you were outside of reality and not accepted in any regards.
Totally in the fringe.
Totally in a place
Yeah.
where and now you can tell that the awakening is because, again, crystals in mainstream,
Yes.
things being looked at.
Yes. So we are evolving in some respect, but you can see the degradation as well in the world. But people are fighting back, you know? So I think most of humanity is ready to move forward and evolve.
I do too. And, that we've got to phase out of this thing where people are saying out there that you reincarnate to experience the suffering. I chose this. No, in fact, you reincarnated to change it. And, karma brings some experiences of suffering, but to say that you chose to live a life of poverty and homelessness is ridiculous. You're a higher being with a God spark and a goddess spark, and there's no way in God's green earth that God spark would ever want to live a life of poverty their whole life.
Well, people who say that don't understand suffering themselves, because they would never say such a thing like, I chose this. I chose to be homeless. Really? I chose to live in a slum? I don't think so. Maybe for a short window of time to learn, but for a whole life, no. And I think that those are excuses that people make to make themselves feel better or to make sense of the world.
And it allows the ones that in certain families that we know to continue to behave a certain way with the frequency. It's like, oh, they think they're supposed to suffer forever. Right? So it's really important that people realize by coming together with empathy, love all, serve all mentality helps to change the frequency. And therefore, nobody that can give you disinformation or division or divide will have a chance to keep you in a slave mentality, because you evolve out of it with your heart and your consciousness. Right.
So the love all, serve all is, we are all one. To have that mentality that we are all one human race, and there cannot be any division in the fourth dimension.
No, unless you're showing me a claw, or you're showing me, something different. You're in the container that is part of the human experience. And it's divided in the sense of different containers and races and cultures, which is rich because God and the goddess is so diverse, and the experience is to embrace and help and grow. But, certain individuals foster those lies which create division, and it's out of control. The murders, the guns, the killings, the crime, the downtroddenness is the evidence that we're not evolving.
And the fact that mainstream media is promoting, false narratives 90% of the time.
Right. And
alternative media, if because a lot of the conspiracies are wrong too.
The conspiracies concern me more than even the mainstream. I mean, just because, it leads people down these rabbit holes that lead to nowhere.
Right.
And just ask some of those people that have been studying UFOs for 40 years and say, hey, how's it working out? Did we get anywhere? The answer is no. All that energy with disclosure.
Yes.
What is that? A waste of money.
It is.
We need to bring it back to just evolving.
Yes. Pay attention to the third dimension. It doesn't serve humanity or serve anyone to be talking about the higher dimensions, right? But I want to talk about ascension for a moment, because there's this widespread belief that we are ascending in the human body in this lifetime.
What does that even mean?
Well, ascending,
I'm not even sure what they're saying.
You ascend when you die, but you're also, your soul ascends while you're asleep to communicate with higher forces, communicate with your guides. So you're in the third dimension in your waking hours, but when you go to sleep, you might go to the fourth, fifth, who knows, you might even go all the way up to the 10th dimension. So you're learning all of these things, getting a lot of information in your sleep, but then you come back down to the third dimension when you wake up. in the symptoms of that, you might feel dizzy when you wake up. You might feel like you're not quite in your body. I mean, we know how that feels. And I know a lot of our viewers must know how that feels. And that's an ascent. You can call that an ascension symptom, but don't be thinking that you're ascending in this human body right now, because that happens when you die.
Yeah, there's no ascending. The thing is,
If you're, I mean, you ascend in your sleep, but also, ascend out of the human condition. That is when you die.
Into another dimension.
Right.
So they're thinking, so first of all, the other dimension, you're not welcome in that dimension so much. This is why if you do go in your sleep, because they're working with you to help bring what they're teaching you into the third to transmute where you are. That's how you have to reach these other dimensions. But you don't just ascend when you die. Some people descend. There's some people that behave so poorly on the third dimension that they actually wake up after they die on the second floor, right? Or on the third, on the first, which you don't want to go there.
So you're talking about hell.
Well, right. There's lower dimensions than the third. We're on the third. So there's some floors beneath us.
Yes.
This earth is vast and complex.
Yes.
And there are caverns and places inside this earth. This organism is amazing. And there are lower dimensions. So it's no guarantee that you live your life and you ascend to the fourth dimension. Right. That's just not accurate. What it is how do we transmute and evolve in the dimension we're in to bring the fourth dimension to us? A fourth dimension, they phase out of money. Their healthcare is, you're living longer. You've probably got some free energy, if not full free energy. You've got access to energy that is far superior than what we're working with. So the evidence, you have to look for evidence of evolution, not just garbly-goo talk of this and that that doesn't amount to anything.
Right, and there would be no digging for fossil fuels in the fourth dimension either.
No,
right?
No, of course not.
Anti-gravitational technology, sound technology,
life extension to an acceptable level. I mean, for people to say, oh, well, these people have, they can clone this and do that. It's like, no, these people die. Even in these houses, they die, right? There's not a lot of this lights fantastic stuff going on down here. The evidence far outweighs, what it is.
And there's also a lot of talk of, soul transfers and time travel and shape-shifting. All these things are much higher dimensional abilities.
Sixth, right.
It isn't happening in this dimension. But also time travel is an interesting concept too.
Well, time travel, what does that mean? On the Gregorian calendar? So you're going to travel in a man-made structure of time? I mean, it's very strange what people talk about, and there's no evidence, right, to back these things up.
Right.
And I know for me, as a child, I was exposed to certain families. But even in that structure, it was never like they say, you're going on a time travel and you're going into the past and they've got these fake pictures to prove it.
Well, I think you brought up a good point, because the Gregorian calendar, I mean, there's been, in the Mayan calendar, there's been different calendars throughout history. So if time travel is true, which calendar you're time traveling on? So it's a man-made construct, and I think that's kind of funny to think about.
Yeah, it's more interdimensional travel, right? Which super succeeds a calendar or some time grids. It's way beyond that. But,
there was something else I wanted to talk about in the higher dimensions that we haven't reached yet, and I have some notes here, so please excuse me for looking at this. So how about the moon landing and traveling to Mars and having life on Mars, colonizing Mars?
Really? We can't even get the rocket to not explode up there.
Right. Our human bodies would not be able to handle such travel. It didn't happen. Those are false narratives. And this is something that keeps humanity in bondage too, are all of these lies that have been propagated. It kind of keeps us in a broken system.
It does.
And the thing is, if we can't evolve out of 3D into 4D, then we're going to devolve.
Right.
And things are going to get really shitty around here.
It already is happening.
I'm sorry to say it, because this
It's
Earth
getting
is
worse.
alive. Gaia is a living being who is done with the human, like, I shouldn't say done with the human condition, but really, like, there's going to be more earthquakes and more, disasters, because she's just shedding the topsoil.
And she's also rising, like Atlantis is rising. I mean, the reality is we're headed for the 8th root race, for a major upgrade with technologies.
And that would be in the 5th dimension.
Well, it would be in our 3rd dimension.
It'll start in the 3rd dimension.
It will start here, and by implicating even some of the things we work with.
So it's working on the diseases of the human body now in the 3rd dimension. And as we evolve into the 4th dimension, the technology gets improved, and it'll extend human life.
Right.
And then by the 5th dimension, you are doing gene editing to expand, much more life extension, right? In the human abilities.
Absolutely.
Psychic abilities.
But we can do it now, but the reason why it's not being done now is any technology that is inserted prior to consciousness development is a fall.
Right.
And those that know.
Right.
Because that's why Atlantis fell. That's why these other civilizations, you can look at the remnants, pyramids and this and that. Right. You can see the evidence of other civilizations, but you have to ask, well, what happened? It fell because they were putting technology first before human consciousness.
Yeah.
Never works.
Right.
So the way to evolve is to work on consciousness and get it to an acceptable level of empathy, and then insert various technologies that assist the human container to the expansion of consciousness. And that's how we live longer. And
it's done in stages too. It's not like the consciousness has grown, it's doing better. Here's all this technology. It doesn't work like that either. So it's like one step at a time.
That's why it's so funny,
it's like
the
building
med
built bricks and mortar. The bricks are the technology and the mortar is the consciousness. You need really good mortar to hold those bricks in place. And you have to start at the bottom. Right, so right here in the 3rd dimension.
That's why they wrote children books like 3 Little Pigs, right? To let you know if you build your house on sand, it's going to fall. And that's,
And that's the primary reason why we're doing these videos right now too, is to help consciousness. And because we look out and we see so many lies and so many false narratives, we knew that we had to come out and start speaking truth, because the time is now to change. We don't have a lot of time here in the 3rd dimension. After a while, it's just going to crumble if we do not evolve.
And you can look at the evidence of other civilizations, the other root races of the human condition. Where are they? It's crumbled. So, what we want to do is evolve so that the beings that are there work with us to keep upgrading, because the opposite of that is degrading.
So if our viewers out there are saying, I want to evolve, I want to do better, I want to reach the 4th dimension, but I don't have that much power, I don't have that much money, what can I do? What can I do to help myself, my family, my community?
Well, it's really important. I mean, those step books that we have would be a great place to start to get some understanding, right? But even if you don't do that, what you have to do is work on your own frequency, work on your own consciousness.
Just to see if I have the manual with me.
I
don't. It's not in this room, but yeah, each one reach one.
And it's called inclusiveness.
Yes.
It's called sharing. It's called caring.
Compassion.
It's called compassion. It's not, I got mine, you got yours, I'm going to turn a blind eye. That doesn't help evolve a civilization. So my thing is, they can try to go to Mars, good luck. And if you want to go to Mars, that's just running away. Why would any other space-bearing or inner Earth-bearing beings support humans going to Mars? They don't.
No, they don't.
Because you haven't cleaned up your own planet. You haven't made it to a frequency that's acceptable. And the truth is, once you do, all of a sudden things are revealed through technology to say, wow, we really can get to Mars now. Yeah, it's because you earned it.
Right. And this is why they haven't landed here. This is why they're not showing themselves to humans. Because it's too dangerous, and
Yeah.
the vibration is so low, and these frequencies are damaging to them,
I
right?
mean,
And
it's
a
crazy.
lot of ETs just fly right by because they don't believe there's hope for humanity.
Some of them
But
don't.
fortunately, there are the guardians of light are here,
Right.
working behind the scenes to help shift a paradigm so that we can move into the new earth.
True.
I mean, Dolores Cannon is right. There is a new earth. There is the fifth dimension. There is ascension, but it's not exactly how people are translating that. And it's certainly not happening now. We have work to do. We can't just sit back and wait for someone to do it for us.
They're not
We
going
have
to
to
do
do it
it.
for ourselves.
Right.
Right?
Well, I should say they will support you with each step. It's like, you know, you find out gunpowder, right? So they gave you gunpowder. Some people used it to do fireworks. Others people used it for killing. So it's a kind of thing where you can have an advancement, and even gunpowder was an advancement. You can have these little supports, but what are you going to do with it?
Right.
And see,
Right.
so that's how we have to prove to the upper dimensions that we are worthy of going to Mars and exploring space and all these things. And you know why we're worthy? Check out our poverty. It's at a bare minimum. Check out our homelessness. There is none. Check out this and that. Wow, we're really grooving. Then all of a sudden the UFO comes right down and lands right in broad daylight in front of whoever, because your frequencies are adjusted so much that they don't fly by. They want to stop now because they can tell psychically and feeling and look at the evidence that,
Humans are
wow,
ready.
humans are ready.
Yes.
But until that happens, you can try to get to the fifth dimension all you want. Good luck. It's not going to work. The only way to make it work is to work with what you have. People should be coming together to get together because this planet is so awesome.
It sure is.
And it's just wonderful. You know?
I believe we'll reach it. We just have a lot of work to do. So I hope you join us in this family of light that we're in, and to help keep pushing forward for evolution in the fourth dimension.
Yeah, and you know, come for those that can watch that might want to get involved with certain things or have a ability to support something in a technology of real science. Hey, you can reach out to us too, because what we say, we're faith-based evidence, so we can back it up with documents and reality. It's not just we're sitting here saying stuff.
Right.
For
No,
what?
this is the action age, and we're trying to do something about it.
Yeah.
So we hope that you liked this video. Please like it and subscribe to our channel. And we look forward to many more Dispelling the Myths videos. So stay tuned I think we're going to start uploading every Monday and Friday.
Really?
Yes, that's my goal anyway. And maybe it'll be once a week, but we're going to try for twice a week. So I hope you have a great day. Thanks again for watching. Take care.
Bye now.